Definitely, mothers' dietary patterns have a pretty profound influence on the fatty acid composition of their milk. You can take mothers from different regions of the world, and their fatty acid profile would be very different depending on that region's dietary pattern and even within a given location. So, for example, omega-3 fatty acids, this is highly variable in developed countries, urban countries. Women who live near seacoasts and typically are eating a lot of fish, they're going to typically have high DHA levels in their milk by comparison with women from, for example, the area that I come from, which is the Midwest of the United States. Typically our DHA levels in that area of the world is quite low. And we've looked, people have studied traditional societies, like hunter-gatherer societies, studied than urban populations. And you can see, depending on whether they're coastal populations or not, or whether they're traditional, typically like DHA levels could be very high in some of them. But in the other areas away from coasts that are urban, very low, as an example. But a lot of the fatty acids differ between mother's milk. And it's important for us to understand what the consequences are, but we know that it is different depending on diet. Okay, so the fat-soluble content, if a mother is of vitamins, if the mother is pretty replete in vitamins, A, for example, these are, I should name them, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. And of those, perhaps the ones that we should really focus on would be vitamins A and D, where we have some knowledge about potential health consequences. Generally, mothers, they store these vitamins in our fat stores, and during lactation, we mobilize those fat stores and produce milk that also includes what we've stored as well as what we eat. So generally, those vitamins are pretty replete, not always. And the things that would affect the diet for vitamin A would be dietary influences like how much animal meat is consumed, or the beta-carotenes, beta-carotene plant food sources that have that. For vitamin D, typically vitamin D levels in human milk is very, very low. And there is research afoot in terms of how effectively that can be increased, and this is still at the research level. It's not a public health recommendation. But it's possible that vitamin D levels might be able to be increased. Certainly, in general, we recommend that babies be fortified with vitamin D at birth. And we recommend that moms take vitamin D during pregnancy. The level of the fat-soluble, well, it's quite variable, depending on the region of the world. There are some regions, say Africa and Southeast Asia, where the fat-soluble vitamins may be lower than in other regions of the world. And again, this is their dietary influences. It's rather reflecting the lifetime dietary pattern of the mother. So you can go from, and with one vitamin, and vitamin D in particular, it's virtually something like 25 international units, whereas the recommendation for daily intake would be at least 400 international units. So vitamin D is just very low, and this may be because of a sunshine deprivation, I would call it, that we don't get outside in the sun much, and also that perhaps we need to have more dietary supplementation with vitamin D. But and then vitamin A can be low in areas of the world where there's a lot of vitamin A deficiency. Otherwise, there's really nothing of concern for women that can continue to do what they're doing.